Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of System Link, our joint podcast and gameplay stream, co-hosted, as always, by Mike Hazelton from the Xbox Guide. Mike, welcome back. It's good to see you on a stream again. I know you have been a poorly man for the last week or so. How are we feeling now? It's hopefully, light at the end of the tunnel, not in a bad way, but hopefully there's hope and dreams there for you.
Yeah, it's been some time. I just had COVID for like 2 weeks.
So annoying.
And it was the second time I've had it, and it was much worse than the first time. The first time I was like, what's all the fuss about? But yeah, I mean, lots of people have got it at the moment. In pretty good company with some Olympians and President Biden, so can't argue too much.
And that's can't be
I'm
can't moan about your COVID company.
Now.
No, it's great. Well, no, it's great to have you back. And obviously, we've had to sort of put System Link on pause for a minute there because I'm not doing this without you, bud. I'm not doing this without you. Welcome back. It's great to have you. And we're going to dive straight in because the Xbox 360 marketplace officially coming to an end. I believe the dashboard now doesn't even display. It looks pretty barren on there now.
Times.
Yeah. And this was... I want to make sure I get my recollection of this accurate. This was the first console you and I both bought at the same time.
Did you get it at launch?
Yes, I did get it at launch.
You did?
Did get it at launch.
Okay.
But, or no, was it a present? But, because I remember, I have distinct memories of unboxing yours.
I know, and it's like, what the hell are you doing at my house?
Yeah, you're like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. If you've got your own. Yeah, so...
Get out.
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, so that definitely was my first experience with it.
Oh, you're confident you got it as a...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it as like a... What would have been? It would have been near. Probably nearer to my...
looking at the... December 2nd.
So then I got it for Christmas. That's right.
Yeah.
And I have such...
2005.
Oh, I know, yeah.
You've got to say, that's all you have to say. I know game preservation, we've lost a lot of titles that are on that marketplace, but that's a long time for a store to be active.
Yes, especially when compared to some recent efforts. Look at Nintendo with the Wii and 3DS stores. Relatively speaking, they did not last very long at all. With the appropriate notification, as you would hope, at least, they would give you that heads up. I think the payment methods were shut down actually first before those stores were actually taken offline. So you could still use like prepaid vouchers or add funds through another source. And
they did a sale, pretty decent sale, I think, of the games that were dropping off.
Or like virtual console stuff and all of that. So, but the 361 had that really long lead time. We knew about this, and I seem to remember also it being potentially pushed as well. I think it was extended at one point. Beyond its original announcement for when the shutdown was going to happen. It's a pretty good thing also knowing that the 360 games that are backwards compatible are still purchasable on a Series X or an Xbox One, which is really important, actually. I know that it wasn't full support for the 360 or original Xbox, but to have a large quantity of those games still available does make a difference. That is a really nice thing that they've done, not that they have to particularly, but it does help address that narrative around game preservation a little bit. Xbox then, they've spent a lot of time bigging up this next-gen platform that we're hearing about. So the fact that they've made it so sort of, a big part of their messaging has been about, we want to carry your titles forward. So maintaining support for this has been nice to see.
Yeah, and I worked on that dashboard, programming some of the ad slots for Microsoft stuff or third-party games. So yeah, it's sad to see it. Sad to see it going, but it reminds you, I think, of how much of a forerunner the Xbox 360 was in terms of the digital and software operating system side compared to PS3.
For sure.
The PS3 operating system was pretty poor. The store was like, they had some good games on it, but the UI of the store and the features, Xbox, we had private chat and stuff, and I think part of the reason Xbox is struggling now is because as soon as the PS4 came out, it was basically parity with Xbox features. Whereas PS3, Xbox 360, there was a clear winner. If you wanted top level multiplayer gaming, it was still 360 was the place to be.
Absolutely.
But PS4, by the time PS4 came around, that wasn't the case anymore, really. And yeah, we got a little montage of some of the classics on here.
Well, yeah, it just faded down, but like seeing Gears of War, that Mad World trailer, and how just, it's such a staple of the Xbox brand, but it was established in the 360 era. It wasn't something that was an original Xbox title, and had no history there.
There were lots of great IP on the original Xbox that they could have easily, well, and they obviously did leverage them, but to come up with a new IP, kind of straight out of the gates was pretty good. This is Red Dead. You have to say as well, not even talking about the 360, but just as a generation, including the PS3, this was just insane. For me, without like rose-tinted spectacles on, has been the best generation. 360 was the best generation in terms of quantity of games, quality of games. Maybe not in terms of the nostalgia effect that you get from Nintendo 64 or GameCube, but we had GTA 4 and GTA 5 in the same generation. We had Red Dead. Also, like, to get 3 Rockstar games in the same generation is pretty
to this
good
day
going,
still
it's
topping,
a long one, but
still topping lists, and like that's just insane, isn't it? I think also when you look at what Xbox formed into their brand, that essentially they kind of, for a lot of the Xbox One era, kind of coasted on a little bit, but a lot of those are like Forza, Gears, Halo 3, which is arguably the biggest and best of that series, all in the 360 era. But also this is a time when, I remember the orange box coming out on the 360.
Yeah.
I don't know, I have such fond memories
like 20
of that.
quid or something.
Crazy to get Half-Life 2 running much better than it did on the original Xbox. The original Xbox really creaked with that. But to get that packaged in with Team Fortress and like Portal and all this stuff, it was just incredible. I have such memories of that. It really sticks out. And also, the big one for me, and actually seeing Braid here, Xbox Live Arcade as a brand, which is what they've kind of, ID at Xbox has kind of evolved from. Just Battlefield 1943, just something that is, it's still, I think it's still my favourite Battlefield game. And we've played some great ones. You can't knock Bad Company 2. We've had a great time revisiting Battlefield 5 in recent months, but nothing beats 1943 for me. It's just, what a game.
Yeah, the evolution of that marketplace, because I think the top, you remember we started out with Microsoft points,
right?
And I think possibly the top level was either 800 or 1200. I don't know if 1200 was the extended limit, because I think Fez came out, and I think Fez was the first game where they increased the cap, and then it moved to money at some point. I think 1943 broke the kind of threshold on it, but that evolution where it just starts off as like small little games, and then you get something that's a proper like full indie release, digital only, onto the arcades, where they've had to kind of move the goalposts. And it does show, and Microsoft's always been quite good with flexibility of stuff like that. They'd rather have the game than not have it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that be interesting actually for people to acknowledge the fact that Microsoft do have a history of that, of being reactive to what a game needs in order to succeed on their platform. Look at Baldur's Gate and the split screen. They're modifying. I mean, they're arbitrary rules. They're things that they've imposed on themselves, that there's parity between the X and the S, but they were willing to bend in order to service a game that was blowing up, and justifiably so. And that there is a history of that. There is a history of Microsoft being very consumer-led when it comes to compatibility and features that perhaps aren't necessarily on every single version of a game. Like we saw with Baldur's Gate, they were willing to make that adjustment, much the same way as they did with Xbox Live Arcade and the currency cap and everything. So it's really nice to see that legacy, I think, has persisted. We've waxed lyrical about their missteps as a first party, and the fact that the gigantic course correction that this generation and Game Pass will hopefully represent. But looking back at that time, that was a time when Xbox were the clear sales leader. They had confidence in their marketing. They were making bold swings. Bert's on. I'm so glad that you are a Prime Gaming a Prime Gaming bot. Get the hell out of my chat, baby. The fact that they are they were at the time, they were so willing to take big swings and take risks with their advertising. I don't think it ever aired. It was famously a banned advert, but there's like a finger gun mimed gun shootout in a train station that was an advert for 360 with loads of people like falling off of like there's like people like suspended off of on like high wires, like going off of balconies and stuff. And there was a guy, I still remember, I still clear to this day remember the cab driver who was on the phone who just did this. He put the finger up and then died behind the wheel. Brilliant advert, never aired, but it almost did more for the brand by not airing, by getting banned and getting coverage in that sense. They were very, very smart, very forward-thinking with their marketing in that era too, and that's something we don't see very much outside of the slightly snarky Game Pass Twitter account, which I always enjoy. But yeah, it's very interesting looking back now. It's very interesting being able to have that perspective on it now 2 generations removed, because you mentioned the PS3 in there as well. The second half of that PS3 era really defined the route that their first party has continued to follow up until I'd say the last 12 months, where they've made their bet with games as a service, and not all of those projects have panned out. But God of War 3, The Last of Us, all dropping within the last couple years of the PS3's era, just cemented that generation as being one that was really, really profound and very memorable for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think literally the only blemish on the generation from Microsoft's point of view was Red Ring of Death, which obviously was a big issue and probably contributed to some of the sales performance. But the breadth and the quality of games we had, as well as the 3 Rockstar games. I mean, there might have been more. We had Fallout, which we've seen, Oblivion, and Skyrim as well.
I forgot that Oblivion and Skyrim were the same gen, because it was a long gen, wasn't it? One of the longer,
which helped. But you think like nowadays, this is part of this problem as well about the length of time, and we've got obviously some studio redundancies to talk about later, and the length of games, time that it takes games to be made. And you look at a generation like this, the number of Halo games we got in the generation, the number of Forza games we got in a generation. I know like Playground are pretty good at churning them out now, but all the same. BioShock as well.
I was just going to say, like, having the first 2 BioShock games on the platform. I mean, BioShock 2 was so good. I really enjoyed. That's the one where you play as a Big Daddy and they flip it, and it's so well done. I wasn't a big fan of Infinite because it just became very action heavy.
I didn't like it too much. I have a lot of vivid memories of a lot of Xbox 360 games. Like I remember the demo for BioShock.
This trailer, particularly, I remember.
We had demos back then. I remember the plane crash and you go underwater, and it's just the graphic. I just don't really get impressed like that with games anymore. So much. So
because there is definitely a conversation to be had about this sort of the push for fidelity has sort of meant that they don't need to worry about design so much or having it be mechanically interesting because they could just make it look pretty. Whereas in this era, there's a lot of they had to make it gameplay and mechanic led first because the technology wasn't quite there yet. But then that's where art style really shone through. It's why 1943 was able to still look great, because its art style was so well defined despite the limitations of the hardware. And as I recall, in that specific instance, 1943 never had a PC release, did it? It was literally Xbox Arcade exclusive.
Yeah, and talking about Microsoft kind of going out their way to facilitate some games, we had Oblivion as well, was Xbox and PC only. There were a few big wins that excluded PlayStation without the kind of whatever it was that Phil said the other month, or grubby platform stuff going on.
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft started that, as he said, with Call of Duty,
Which I'm glad they
and
acknowledged that, because they did.
yeah, and this was kind of the first Modern Warfare
This was,
game.
yeah. I mean, Modern Warfare, the original Call of Duty 4. I mean, hundreds of hours spent, but also kickstarted the idea of buying map packs, buying expansions, and having a segregated community where you wouldn't necessarily have every player able to play every map. Now, obviously, a very different model, but this era of DLC, this was the one that really sort of established that concept of meaningfully updating a game after it had come out. Mass Effect. Some of the best DLC I've ever played were in the second and third Mass Effects. And you talk about, packing in the titles, to have Mass Effects 1, 2, and 3 all release in the 360 era is crazy. That is just mind-blowing in terms of the scope of what they were able to achieve within the gen and have meaningful, iteration as each game went along.
And you do think some of that is about like forward planning. So I've mentioned this with Fallout and Skyrim. Like, I think they should have said, we'll spend 8 years making Skyrim, and then we'll put another studio on it for 2 years to make a game in the same engine that's just got a new story, same graphics. Like, maximize what you're getting out of it. I know there's the Rockstar model where you release it on one console, release it on the next gen, release it on the next gen, which they tried to do with Skyrim. But I think these games that you're investing that much time to make, they need to think about trying to follow it up with a game in the same engine where you don't have to do all the kind of dirty programming stuff. You just focus on doing a new story. And it seems that, like, the fact they were able to do 3 Mass Effect games, and it was planned as a trilogy like that. Hopefully, that's that was just down to good strategic planning by them.
Yeah, and actually doing the thing you said, which is they've got the engine now, they've got the mechanics from the first game. Let's iterate on it, on what we already have. Like, I think the jump from 1 to 2 was much bigger than 2 to 3. 3 felt like a very iterative sequel, whereas 2 felt like they really dealt. The entire combat mechanics were reworked in that game. It felt
they fixed the issues, didn't they? Because there were some annoyances with Mass Effect 1. It was a great game, but there's a reason that 2 is thought of as being better. Really.
Yes, for sure. And now when you look at the Legendary Edition, where they've repackaged all 3 games, having those changes brought back into Mass Effect 1, so the combat now is just consistent throughout. It's brilliantly done, and just again shows they didn't have to do too much with that. It wasn't like a full-blown remake, that package. They kind of just took the games as they were and up-res them. It wasn't like they were going back and redoing all the textures or going back to back to the drawing board with it. It was very much proven to be a viable experience that could just be carried forward and given a new lick of paint. And that's where, again, you see so many games from that era have now been given remasters and re-releases, onto modern platforms, on top of the backwards compatibility that we now get to enjoy as well.
Well, especially Sony get a lot of criticism for the number of remasters they do, but there's remakes. There's genuinely a lot of Xbox games that I'd love to see, especially remakes of. I mean, we're seeing Oblivion. That's one of them, and it has been rumored, or it was in the leaked, the FTC stuff. And I feel like it's a bit of a missed opportunity to get some big wins. They release stuff like Redfall, where it just completely misses a mark, and there's safe options that you can go for that I think
we're watching one right now. Bad Company. I mean, EA could print money with this thing.
Yeah,
I'd be all over this.
And it's like they had that mode in the latest Battlefield. It just shows they know that's what people want. And it kind of went at launch. It kind of saved the game. It's gone the other way now, where I think people are playing the main game again. But to put that in, acknowledging kind of that people want this legacy Battlefield experience, but kind of not doing it the full justice. This brings back so many memories. I wanted to ask you what your top, or maybe top 3 Xbox 360 games would be. They don't have to be exclusives. Could just be of that
just from that
generation,
from that experience. Yeah. Gears 3, number 3 for me. because the campaign was fantastic and it's my favorite
Oh, yeah.
Gears multiplayer of the series. They took some swings on that one. They had some really quite controversial weapons where there's like the shorty, which is like a one-shot kill at like extreme close range. So it was really sort of interesting risk-reward stuff they played with. So yeah, Gears 3.
I remember you put some hours into that.
Oh, I was lapping that one up. I've got to give my props to Modern Warfare. I know it wasn't exclusive, but the first Call of Duty. I didn't really play much of 2 or 3, but Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, I was obsessed with. So I think Gears 3 is number 3, Modern Warfare number 2, and then I got to give it to Halo. I got to go Halo 3, I think. And with an honourable mention to ODST, because I do think that was another example of
ODST
Bungie.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, budget release,
risks.
what are they thinking?
Yeah, I
You would
know.
just never release that at that price now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. And they probably did so well. Because it was also so cleverly branded, too. I think originally it was a bit like the Last of Us DLC Left Behind that was originally going to be just DLC and ended up being a standalone product that you could buy. ODST, don't forget, was called Halo 3 ODST. So it was very much, I think, originally pitched as an expansion to that game, and then ended up being a fully fledged standalone release. Firefight alone worth the price of admission. Such fun memories of playing that. Just seeing actually on screen now, I'd forgotten that the Arkham series we had Asylum and City, didn't we, on the 360, and it was Arkham Knight that was the quote-unquote next-gen release. Love these games. So I'd honourable mention this one too. But my definitive top 3 would be Gears 3, number 3, Modern Warfare as number 2, and then Halo 3 as my top. What about you?
Nice.
Where are we going?
It's tough. I was really struggling to choose between Oblivion and Modern Warfare for number 1. Just Modern Warfare has had such a massive impact on gaming. It was the last Call of Duty game, because I loved Call of Duty before Modern Warfare, especially Call of Duty 1 on PC. I played so much of that. We've
never really talked about that, and I don't think we ever particularly played it very often, but I was obsessed with Call of Duty 1 on PC. I am playing mouse and keyboard with it as well. You know, I really...
Controller wasn't really a thing on PC then, was it? I don't know if you would have even been able to do it, but such vivid memories of that. And then I think we dabbled in kind of the console Call of Duty. I think actually I might have had Call of Duty 2 or 3. One of them was a launch title, or very close to launch on 360.
Possibly. I remember getting 2 at launch. I remember having 2. Yeah.
And World at War, I don't know where that fitted in with Modern Warfare. That's obviously Treyarch's first one, and that did quite a lot of it introduced quite a lot of new stuff. But yeah, for the hours I put into Modern Warfare, I might have to give it to that, because for me, no Call of Duty, the campaign was
unbelievable,
was legendary as well.
Yeah.
Just to see a Call of Duty game that critically acclaimed, like from multiplayer, single player side, it's quite tough for it to kind of reach those heights again. Oblivion has a special place in my heart, but similar to you and Beyond Good and Evil, like I've completed it once. I don't have a desire to go back to it particularly.
Yeah.
So which I think, whereas if they did, I know they re-released Modern Warfare, but cut loads of features out. If they did a proper next gen remake of Modern Warfare, I would be all over it. And then probably number 3, I think I would just give to Skyrim, because of what that did. I didn't even play Skyrim particularly, but I loved watching my wife play it, and it's evokes so many other kind of Oblivion memories for me. So
yeah, nice.
There's probably quite a few I've overlooked, but I could name almost everything in this montage has a special place in my heart.
Yeah,
from that
I was just gonna say it, because this Halo 3 trailer, I think is still one of the best game trailers ever made. Period. But this has earned its number 1 place for me, because I played this at university. I discovered friends at university when I'd obviously moved to a different part of the country. This was the thing that drew us together. This and Lost. gotta love those watch-alongs of Lost, baby, before it went mental. But this, yeah, you're absolutely right. There've been so many in this where I've kind of it evokes such specific feelings from playing them back in the day that it's what an embarrassment of riches that we enjoyed in this era.
Yeah, and then you look at Xbox One. I don't think I could name a single Xbox One game that kind of matches. Certainly not a full price, Microsoft release that matches anything of what we've seen in this montage.
I could only consider, because I love Remedy so much, Quantum Break. But that was at a time, though, when Xbox's messaging was wonkier than it's ever been.
Yeah.
They didn't quite know whether they were going to be an all-in entertainment box. I mean, I actually, transitioning out of the 360, we started to see those apps, didn't we? We started to see a bit more multimedia stuff creep into the 360 era, towards the end of the 360 era. So It was a logical next step. They saw the explosion of Netflix and went, well, why don't we let people control their living room through our box? The problem was their box was slow, heavy, overheated, had no software, and forgot to be a games console. And that's what I think they did so well with 360. What a follow-up to the original Xbox, where they actually had a lot of multimedia features, and you could play your CDs, you could rip your CDs in the original Xbox. So there was a through line from OG to 360 to 1 of them supporting multimedia. They just didn't read the room. That was
I think if they hadn't have done the online, forced online, the TV stuff would have been received okay, especially in America where the cable, they've got the whole cable system, and it made sense times to have the pass through. It didn't make quite as much sense over here. I bought the TV tuner for the PS3 because they brought one out, and it had a. That's
right. Yeah.
You could have a preview through the PS3, and that was great. And I was literally, because this is before you had the Fire Sticks or whatever, so
it wasn't an option, was there? Essentially, otherwise.
Yeah, if you wanted something that wasn't, a Freeview box or Sky or Virgin, it was a good solution. But and some of the stuff like the snapping that they had or whatever it was called, you could kind of have two apps running at the same time.
Oh yeah, their picture-in-picture stuff, wasn't it? It was great.
Yeah, I know they obviously got rid of it all, but Kinect again was a big issue, really.
It's all to do with messaging, wasn't it? The fact that it was optional in the 360 era, it was an add-on. But it launched as a requirement for the One. That was a huge misstep. Again, you can see the through line. I can imagine the executive meetings when they're looking at Kinect sales on the 360, given that it was a late addition to that console's life cycle, and they looked at the explosion of Netflix and Prime, and they would have gone, well, let's get a piece of this. Let's center our box around that progression and that messaging. But it just wasn't to be. And I agree, actually. I think the always online stuff, which is now becoming, there's a lot of games that go, you need to always be online to play this single player game. That is coming up a lot now, and people don't seem to be kicking up the kind of fuss they would have done perhaps 2 gens ago. But they
needed to pick one new thing to force on people instead of Kinect and TV and always online,
which Sony did with Blu-ray, which is why they then won that. They just went, we're betting Blu-ray on our games console. People probably went Blu-ray because they bought PS3s. I know I did. So that was their one thing that they wanted to force on people, and it worked.
It was a big selling point of the console for me, because what was it, HD DVD, that fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Obviously Microsoft had to kind of get behind.
With a USB, don't ever forget about the USB mini looking Xbox that would sit on the top of the 360. Nuts that they didn't just patch compatibility in to. We don't know whether that was possible. It must have just been a different optical drive that couldn't handle it, but it was so haphazard and poorly marketed. I suppose they were banking on the recognition of that you could see HD DVD. Well, we know what a DVD is, so that's that's a logical through line again, but it just didn't pan out like that, and they're trying to do too much at once.
I wonder if it's too close. It needs to be obvious that it's not just like, oh, this is a better version of a DVD. You can just put it in a DVD player and it will work.
A Wii and Wii U problem, similar.
Well,
sort of
and
problem.
I saw I saw recently, I think it was on Pure Xbox, talking about people getting confused between Series X, Series S, and Xbox One X and Xbox One S. So they see the game box and it says like
Right.
S/X in the corner, and they buy it for their kid who's got an Xbox One X, thinking it will play on it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you have to put some thought into these naming
Especially,
conventions.
yeah, especially when it comes to pricing as well. People looking for those quick deals around birthdays and holidays and Christmas and etc. So, I mean, yeah, an incredible era of gaming, and it followed my all-time favorite console, which is the GameCube. It kind of came immediately after that, so we were eating good for a few years there. That was premium, which you never really know until you're through it. There is obviously always going to be an element of, you mentioned it earlier, the sort of rose-tinted goggles, that idea of looking back at something and in remembering it better than it was. But I also think that a lot of the love and appreciation that we have for that era, that was justified. It's not just us looking back fondly. I think a lot of it was well earned.
Yeah, and I think we've touched on it. It's quality, which we haven't had from Microsoft first party for this generation or last generation, but also quantity of games.
Yeah.
We play so much variety of stuff on Game Pass, but we don't play. It's not like Mass Effects and Bioshocks and things like that, new IP that are really landing and innovating and changing the industry. And we've got this problem, as we said, with the amount of time and money it's taken to make games at the moment. So hopefully we'll see a bit of a reset with Unreal Engine kind of making things a bit simpler, but it needs to happen, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think there's another part of that, which is that a lot of publishers have now, you see how bloated that free-to-play and games as a service market has become. They've chased that model, so there's so much experience there. There's so many opportunities for you to jump into that, but not quite so much from that sort of slightly riskier new bets with new IP.
Yeah, well, and it's depressing. Like I'm sure we've mentioned it on a previous show, where you look at the top played charts, and like over half of it are games that are like 5+ years old, which doesn't tell a very good story about the quality of the kind of new releases coming out.
No, and thankfully, with things like Game Pass, we certainly from our perspective as consumers, we've at least, like you said, been able to play a nice broad variety of titles. I've certainly tried more. I've taken risks because the barrier of entry is non-existent, but it's making sure that quality isn't just coming from third-party partnerships and indie studios. It's having that breadth from first party as well.
There's never been a better time to be an indie developer, I think. I know they do struggle to cut through, but you've got like indie developers, and then you've got like 500+ teams of people, and it doesn't seem, we talked about the AA games, which is a real feature of the 360 generation that you don't see too many of now, and that's a bit of a shame. Or when you do see them, they're just trying to copy other games, and they just get kind of lost in the noise of releases.
Yeah, and that's, like you say, though, thankfully there is that, the Game Pass model and sub-services giving those teams opportunities to get their games out there, but also fund their development too, which is a different revenue model, and that's a whole different tangent. But there's definitely more opportunity than there's ever been, I think, to make a game, release it, and have it find an audience. But there's just more. The quantity is so much greater, and like you say, that sort of middle ground AA space. There are a few publishers still flying that flag, and I've seen a few more of those games, interestingly, getting Game Pass deals as well. A few more of those pop up,
just recently,
like Atlas Fallen. We've seen sort of stuff like that. Oh, Rocco, good evening, good to see you. But also, on the PlayStation side, they've still doubled down on their big IP like Gran Turismo and Ratchet and Clank and Horizon, God of War. There's a lot of really big IP that they're pushing. They seem to be taking risks with things like Concord and the like the games as a service style games. That seems to be their current push. So there's never been more variety, I think, than ever before, especially in terms of delivery method of these games as well, which bodes well when you look at, obviously, things like our recent new additions to Game Pass, Starship Troopers, which is coming out in September. Burly must be guaranteed day one on that one. I mean, that's going to be a day one. I reckon there's going to be a whole Burly and a Teat podcast just about Starship Troopers, whatever the subtitle is, because he'll just want to basically, it's Helldivers, but Starship Troopers, I think. Rocco, you agree? You're not... Yeah, that is a guarantee. It is a bit sad, isn't it? But yeah, perfect segue now into some recent Game Pass additions. The big one was Modern Warfare 3 that just dropped into Game Pass. I think it had potentially been leaked, unless I'm remembering that wrong.
Yeah, I think so. And Phil's been playing it, which from what I can tell is the first time he's played. Well, it's hard to tell because it uses the launcher, but the first time he's used that launcher, so he obviously felt obligated to give it a go. I don't know if did you play it when it came out?
Yes, I did. I picked it up because I really enjoyed the campaign of the second one, and had a blast with that actually. And so because I was feeling pretty positive about Call of Duty, obviously the Warzone was still running and still doing its thing, but I did pick it up. The campaign was not great at all. It effectively felt like they pitched it as being this sort of like these open conflicts, but like sort of taking a bit of the Warzone design and bringing it into the campaign, sort of loosening things up a bit where you could do objectives in any order. It felt more like a Battlefield map than anything else in the campaign.
Okay.
But on paper, great. In principle, just felt really loose. It felt like a reskinned Warzone match, but with AI. Just didn't have the same punch or interest at all. Didn't hold me at all. And then Zombies went fully open world. They again used the Warzone map for Zombies. And it just felt like I was playing a Warzone round with zombies in it. And it just lacked any sort of identity. Modern Warfare 3 was a real disappointment for me, generally.
They rushed it out. Was that the one that it was reported that they had to rush it?
Very quick turnaround on it because of a reboot during development. And then they brought in one of the other support studios to help. Yeah, I found that one tricky. I've played the hell out of Warzone, but that was always free to play and separate anyway.
Yeah.
But this, yeah, it really didn't connect with me at all. And I think very smart for them to test the waters with it. I think there'll be a lot of people that just stuck with Warzone that might potentially want to now try the multiplayer. I found the multiplayer was actually pretty good. It had a lot of sort of classic COD problems of people sort of jumping around still, and you know they didn't do a huge amount to deal with snipers being descoped from being shot. But it ran well, and there was a lovely selection of maps. It was sort of quite content rich, that multiplayer, when it launched. I think 16 maps when it first came out, which is pretty good actually for a brand new game. And they were all original maps, plus then those crazy seasonal updates that Call of Duty does every sort of 2 or 3 months, where they add like multiple maps per mode, like multiplayer and Warzone and Zombies all get content. So it's been very, very well supported post-launch, which bodes well for Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6, I think, needs to... As it always has, Black Ops has always had the most interesting campaigns for me, because it sort of tries to tie in with some sort of like alternate world history. And they're actually looking like they're trying to do something with the movement as well, which I really, really like to see.
Yeah. It's normally the safest bet, I feel like, is all the Black Ops games.
I agree.
For like quality.
And to have that be the one that's sort of the marquee Game Pass edition this year, they've obviously had to put Modern Warfare 3 in here. I think they do very well actually getting some of the old ones in, because we saw recently, a few months back, where the servers seemed to be switched back on and they were running really well and they were being populated. So it's a good opportunity right now for them to get those old Call of Duty games back on there. We're seeing obviously Crash Bandicoot. I didn't know if has this been officially confirmed?
No, so this leaked, but I think possibly the guy that leaked Modern Warfare 3
okay,
leaked just recently saying that Crash Bandicoot. So I think this leaked last week, and a list of games has also leaked like separately to this, which also has Crash Bandicoot in it. So I think it's pretty set on that, and it makes sense. The Modern Warfare one, I think it was good timing. You don't want it too close to Black Ops. Makes sense. I don't think they'll add any more Call of Duty games now until Black Ops has had some time in the limelight. But this will be a big one. It's nice to finally be getting some Activision games in because we've basically had 2 price rises following the acquisition, or
Right.
since the acquisition's been going through, and not seen an awful lot from it. So I mean this is an old game, and but Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3 obviously add a lot of value to Game Pass.
Yeah, and actually, like you say, off the back of Diablo being in there, which is was a big addition. I think this is a nice sort of way of keeping that content stream regular, especially because it looks like we've got a pretty stacked end of the year in terms of new releases going into Game Pass. So I think it actually, unlike the Bethesda one, although I think I would have, from a hype perspective, I would have liked that sort of really cool infographic where they dump 20 games into Game Pass day one.
Yeah.
I do think this gives it an opportunity to create a news cycle, a bit more of a regular update. This one I'm really chuffed to see has gone in there. I got to review this for 2K, but Mafia, I have a real affinity for that series. Again, an honourable mention. I'd like to
reviewed a few of them.
Yeah, I've played all 3, and the DLC for the 3rd one. I was very lucky. 2K gave me the access to that, and this remake was excellent. Like properly polished and completely redone using, I think, the Mafia 3 engine. It's a shame the second one didn't get the same treatment because the first and third now sort of really stick out compared to the second one visually and in terms of the animation and mechanics. Bodes well if we're going to see another Mafia title. I know 2K had already announced in a couple of financial reports ago that they have a lot of different titles in the works across their now very big set of studios. So I hope Hangar 13 get a chance to make a 4th. I think it'd be great to see them have another crack at this. And that's a great value addition to Game Pass. That is a big single player open world game, highly polished. So I think that's a good one for sure.
Oh, one other from the list that leaked. I mean, you don't want to talk too much about leaked stuff, but which just because you mentioned it earlier, Atlas Fallen is supposed to be coming.
Okay.
22nd.
Okay.
So I assume you have some history with that.
So no, I don't. I really like Focus Entertainment. I like because they are the AA for me. They're the AA publisher that really tick those old school 360 boxes. Played a lot of their stuff that I really really enjoy. And Atlas Fallen, I just got lost in a sea of other stuff. I just didn't end up checking it out. And it is something that, certainly given that it's co-op as well.
Well, yeah, so that's obviously what caught my eye with it. And then I had a look at the IGN, as much as it pains me to go on IGN, look at their review, and some sound bites for you. Prince of Persia-inspired open-world action RPG. Easily one of the best games to share between 2 online friends since It Takes Two.
Holy shit. I was like it was written for you and me.
Exactly.
Having smashed our way through those 2 Hazelight games, A Way Out and It Takes Two. So that's okay, cool. Let's get it on the radar then, because we're pretty set for our in our rotation right now. The stuff we're playing, between the finals, Valorant and Destiny 2, we are FPS locked and loaded. So having something else that's a sort of story-driven co-op title to check out, and if it is indeed coming to Game Pass, that's a great get, I think. So, but Mafia, I want to really give that its props from this month's upcoming update, because Mafia is a fantastic game and series, and that remake was extremely done with extreme care, and deserves props.
And having never played Mafia before, would you say I can go into Mafia 1 and it won't feel dated?
No.
Like it would be decent to... Is it something that will appeal to people that have only people that have played Mafia before, or do you think you can come in fresh?
You could definitely come in fresh. I think there are some games that stick so rigidly to what they used to play like when they do these kind of revisits, that it would potentially be like a higher barrier to entry, but Mafia doesn't have that problem because they really went systemic with it. They brought all of the changes they made to movement, cover, and combat from the 3rd game, put it into the 1st in their new engine. I don't think they're using Unreal. I think they're using their own. I think I'm pretty sure 2K Hangar 13 have a bespoke engine that they were using for it. And it runs like a dream and looks fantastic. It really does. It was actually, it felt very next gen. Felt very sort of, in terms of what they were shooting for. It's certainly from a leap from the original release to this new remake. So yeah, certainly. that would be a good place to hop on. Something that I know we've been talking about as well is actually from earlier today, the Microsoft financial report, which has been boosted enormously by the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. It's interesting too, because I think that when you see their sort of net profit looking so healthy, it's already, not recouped their investment, but that a big chunk of change towards that 70 billion has been earned by the gaming division.
Well, it's interesting though, because with the Activision specifically, so I think net revenue is really healthy, but net profit, they're still paying for like the integration and the acquisition stuff. So they're making every quarter since they acquired them, Activision has made a loss effectively for Xbox as a whole, which obviously, I don't know how much you can read into that because of all the costs of probably obviously moving staff around and integration and putting them on new contracts and all this, but I mean the hardware news is kind of as expected. It's poor.
That was the one that actually I thought that was dreadful. I mean, over 40% down.
It's dreadful. It's dreadful. For the series consoles to be behind Xbox One, which was just a shit show from launch onwards.
Yeah.
How the Xbox One has outsold the series consoles, I just do not know.
Well, it's crazy, isn't it? And it shows the damage that poor decision making and marketing and lack of releases did in that era. That they're still struggling to offset. A lot of people then went from 360 to PS4 because of that generation, and then have stuck with PlayStation into 5. And PlayStation 5 being a very iterative console, really and truly, but they'd captured that loyalty through the end of the PS3 into the PS4 era. So, yeah, and also when you look at Series S supposedly being the one that was going to be the entry-level platform that would get people into Game Pass, the fact that that's still being outsold by Xbox One, that is a piss-poor showing. Given the price point of the Series S is incredible. And if you're looking at it purely as a Game Pass box, either it's streaming through the cloud if you've got Ultimate, or you're just looking at it because it's maybe your, once you've figured out the correct one to buy, because of the silly naming, you're buying it as like maybe your like younger kid's first console, that has not connected at all. And I was something actually that off the back of this shocking hardware percentage that was in their financials, I saw somewhere, I think it might have been on Pure Xbox, a marketing manager for Xbox being quoted as saying, they don't have the budget that Sony does. They have to do
I used
more
to work
with
with
less.
him. It's funny.
Okay.
I think he's doing I think he's doing the same role, or maybe he was head of like first party or something, and now he's the head of marketing in general. I mean, he'll be regretting giving that interview for sure.
Because that was,
I think we all know that not clever. I think we all know, like, the marketing in Europe, especially compared to the 360, where the marketing was really strong, and we had the Call of Duty deal. I think there was a FIFA deal at the same time.
Yep.
And now PlayStation have the FIFA deal. PlayStation had the Call of Duty deal. Not that that's all it's about, but you see PlayStation, like when the football's on, they've got PlayStation ads all over.
It does
the
matter.
Stadiums and stuff.
It does. It's also like I see it sometimes with when you see a multi-platform game and they show the game boxes and the PlayStation covers now at the front instead of the Xbox one was always the leading cover. Those decisions and that mind share does get affected by that.
And I still don't understand. Like the I think her name's Amy Hood, is it? The chief financial officer at Microsoft, talking about how they're happy with the approach. Basically, it's not about the consoles. It's about I think they said they want subscribers. Basically, they want repeat revenue, which makes sense, but like annual revenue from the same games over and over again, and for that to still be the approach just seems a little bit. We haven't seen the evidence from that. Nothing comes out of these financial reports that says Game Pass is up. They never tell you Game Pass is up by this amount. I think Sarah Bond said something vacuous, which was whatever, they had 30-something million Game Pass members. And then it turned out that included all the Xbox Live people that had been transferred onto Game Pass Core or whatever it was. So we still don't know the true story. Phil has said it's profitable and is growing. But what I would want to know is how many people that have Game Pass do not have a console, because this has been a big push. You don't need a console to play Xbox, but is that working? Are there actually people that are using Game Pass that don't have consoles? Because I still find it a little bit hard, other than on PC, obviously, a little bit hard to believe people are using their phones solely and playing cloud on it, or people are using it's sort of early days for the sticks, but are people using the Samsung TVs to play it? We don't have any of this data. Microsoft aren't obligated to give us that information. The fact they're sticking with the strategy suggests they think it's going to work, but they could easily just put whatever 200 million aside, do a crazy marketing push in Europe for Black Ops on Game Pass, and it would cut through, and you'd get people buying the consoles. But they're determined to stick with this approach, and I don't think there's many people in the industry that are saying it's the right call. But
yeah, no, I think you're spot on, and I think that the biggest uphill climb they have is trying to sort of get people to realize en masse that Game Pass and the content it has is the Netflix benefit. It gets better over time, but they're not communicating that message in the right way. That we should be seeing bundle deals that put Call of Duty Black Ops 6 as the lead advertising on Xbox, Series S bundle with a year's Ultimate in there. You know, that has to happen. And if it doesn't happen, they are just and that cannot be that expensive to run when they already had the Call of Duty advertising budget that Activision had already sequestered off in their own operation. So that you'd have to think at some point they would be, you know, making sure that game is given the proper support that it needs to cut through.
Yeah, you have to say, we obviously won't know until Black Ops comes out. We might not even know after it comes out, but so far, the acquisition of Activision hasn't been good for Xbox gamers. We've had Diablo, Modern Warfare 3, wasn't, like you say, wasn't critically acclaimed when it came out, and we've had price rises. There were layoffs at Microsoft, probably not because of Activision, but you don't know. The optics aren't good of the layoffs like straight after an acquisition like that. And it's obviously it's healthy for Xbox revenue. That if you take out Activision, they would have been 3% up. Xbox would have been 3% up, which is not nothing. It's not a decline. So you'd assume when the Game Pass increase kicks in, that will, you'd like to think the next quarter will be, or maybe the quarter after, we'll see quite a significantly bigger uptick. And to be honest, I think we'll see from the next quarter's report or the quarter after that the impact of Black Ops and the impact of the price rises. Because I don't know what you'd want that to be. Presumably the same quarter last year wouldn't have been great, so you'd want to see like double-digit increase, I think.
For sure, in terms of percentage growth, but also then
percentage growth.
That not only the thing that obviously is the bottom line, that the revenue's increased, but you want to make sure those player numbers are staggering. Call of Duty should have more players than it's ever had, and Phil's quoted as his 100 million a month, in that last showcase. So,
Phil saying more, or was it Phil or Sarah saying more people than ever are playing Xbox? Well, yeah, they should be, shouldn't they? You're not, if your numbers are declining, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, it's got to be a record-breaking Call of Duty release. It's got to be, no question.
Every year, you would expect more people to be playing Xbox than ever before, because more people are coming online. More people, there's more, all the free-to-play games that just get people into the ecosystem. So we don't get the information that we need to really judge, but I don't think it was obviously it's not a great story that they appear to be so reliant on Activision for the revenue, but it does justify their acquisition.
Justifies the choice to pick them up. So just very quickly, we're going to take a very, very quick break. We are obviously now just exploring kind of the new aspects of us being a Twitch affiliate. So we're going to be back in a moment's time. Just stand by, a brief ad break, and then we'll be back shortly. Okay, folks, and we are back. I realise, obviously, that was only a minute or so in the actual Twitch advert. We're still kind of getting our head around this and kind of how this works and what this looks like. But thank you again for your patience there. So we are back, but it doesn't. By the way, I should point out, it does help us keep the lights on. So it is a thing that is why we're kind of exploring all of this right now. So we are now back with System Link, and we're going to be talking about some kind of quick fire headlines to wrap us out before we get to our gaming portion. We're playing some Valorant later tonight. First one on our sort of quick headlines list was Playground Games revealed this week that they have opened a second studio, totaling 3 now. They have 3 teams, 3 studios, 1 working on Forza, and then 2 dedicated teams working on Fable. So they have 2 specific studios now working on that new title. Plus, also, I know that there was I remember seeing, I forget the studio's name, but they have another support team as well that have been working with them. So yeah, that's very interesting to see them really staffing up in a big way, especially at a time where, Microsoft, also recently just hit a major round of layoffs. We'll get to obviously to the Bungie ones in a moment's time, but nice to see the other side of that, to see some investment in a studio where they've said 2025 for Fable, so maybe this is what gets them over the line. They just chuck some human suffering at it to get it done.
And you would expect that 26 we would get Forza Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one's probably due in 25, but you think we probably won't get 2 Playground games in the same year.
And if Xbox are going to try and beat Sony to the post with kickstarting next gen, we could see that Forza game being cross-gen as well. 26, 27.
Yeah, and it would look... It's always kind of the graphical powerhouse. Obviously, like Forza Motorsport, the cars look great, but the rest of it generally... I mean, we saw in comparisons with Gran Turismo, it didn't quite hold up. Whereas Horizon, slightly different graphical style, but always looks incredible. So, this was mainly interesting for me because we talked about how Gearbox are doing such a great job for Xbox in terms. Coalition are doing such a great job for Xbox in terms of, supporting other studios. And I think Playground can have a similar role. Like I'd like to see the same with the Coalition.
Oh, for sure.
Kind of getting more studios, even if one is just a support studio. Like maybe this third Playground studio will just help them with projects. Maybe it will help other Xbox studios with projects because it's in the same. It's in Leamington Spa, I think, still. So
that's right.
It's unusual to open a new studio in the same town. Like logically, you would open it somewhere else so you can attract different developers,
sure,
like a different talent.
So they're really wanting to double down on that title.
Yeah, similar, I guess, success story to like Rare's new barn that we heard about, suggesting they're staffing up, hopefully, for something that isn't Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, and actually, there's now, I think, enough evidence to suggest that even though we've covered at length how disappointing it was they shut Tango Gameworks, but we saw In Exile staffing up. That's led to Clockwork Revolution, obviously a much more ambitious title. Obsidian have massively staffed up, becoming that multi-team studio, having machine games, which have traditionally only worked on sort of, what you'd look at sort of moderate-sized projects in Wolfenstein. Making an Indiana Jones game is a big step up for that team, so they would have likely been staffed up as well. And then you've got the Rare's new barn, the new studio for Playground. They are willing to invest in their existing infrastructure, which I suppose you almost wish that they would shout about it more. They're very, very, apologetic and we must streamline the business, even though we've just taken 20 billion in revenue. Shout about those great, doubling down moments on your existing teams. Talk about that more, because that should be the messaging coming out of your first party, which is that we want to grow these teams. We want them putting out games more often at a higher quality, so that our subscription service is being fed. And that needs to be their message.
It's a shame we don't hear more about this. I feel like in the past, you used to hear more about what teams were working on. Like we got all the people at 343, like presumably working on a new Halo game, but it's such a lot of people. Again, we'll come to Bungie, which I think was 1,300 people working for Bungie before the layoffs, and 343 is massive.
Bungie being a bigger team is crazy, because 343 is like 700 odd, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but like Rare especially have just been making content for Sea of Thieves. There must be multiple hundreds of people working at Rare, and it's like, what? Surely they're not all working on content for
Yeah, you have to
CFG.
wonder if they're sort of trying to build an infrastructure like Obsidian, where they've got those splinter teams working on the Pentiments and the Groundeds and those smaller.
Rare would be great at that,
Yeah,
assuming
I'd
they've
be
still got a
experimental.
core of kind of innovative
Yeah,
developers that
that
they
kind
were
of
known
game
for in the
jam
past.
kind of flavor, them sort of trying things out and experimenting.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great to see from them. We've seen VLAN Studios doing it with Midnight Murder Club, doing something. They've taken an existing successful game that's obviously now sunsetted and trying to experiment and diversify. So maybe we'll see more of that as these teams continue to grow.
Yeah, I hope so.
That'd be nice to see. Well, it's a natural segue then, because we're seeing the second round of layoffs for Destiny developer Bungie since their acquisition by Sony. This one, I think someone had worked out, it might have actually been you that sent me this as well, a quarter of their staff body has now been fired and trimmed back since the acquisition, which is nuts. That is an enormous amount of talent. For a studio that apparently was going to be continuing to make multi-platform releases, like Destiny, obviously, like we've seen Microsoft do. Destiny existed on multiple platforms already, so Destiny 2 is going to continue to support all of the platforms it's on. Their Marathon remake apparently is multi-platform as well.
Yeah.
So for all the people giving shit to, the sort of die-hard fanboys giving Xbox shit for going multi-plat, Sony are doing exactly the same thing because it's where the money is and it's where they want to try and get the most players for their service games. It is just an egregious amount of cutbacks to that studio. I just can't seem to fathom what the thinking is here.
I guess you wonder, is it they Sony have had a team and they've come in and they said you're bloated, you've got people not doing anything, lots of middle management kind of, because that's a big studio for making content for Destiny and making Marathon. That still seems to me to be too big. I know you get, when Call of Duty comes out, you have all these different teams working on Call of Duty and Battlefield, and Rockstar presumably must have an insane amount of people working on GTA. But I'd be interested to know the size compared to Bungie. So I don't know if it's just people coming in and saying you don't need all these people, because I think, especially if you're kind of self-run, if you're like an independent studio or you're very comfortable somewhere like an Xbox that isn't making cutbacks, Xbox prior to the cutbacks, you would just organically grow your studio and you'd keep hiring more people. Even if you're not making new games, you just think, this will take the pressure off, we won't have to crunch, which is obviously a good thing. Just get more people in, make everyone else's lives a bit easier. But then when you start looking at the bottom line, all it takes is one financially minded person to come in and say, well, hang on a minute, you made Destiny 2 with 600 people, and now the team's doubled in size. I've just made that number up, but now the team's doubled in size. It doesn't make sense. What I thought was particularly interesting is some of them have gone to in the Sony internal other studios. I think some of them have gone to make a new Sony studio, based on a game that Bungie were like incubating, which is really interesting in terms of Sony don't appear to trust that Bungie would. Why are those people better off not in Bungie? Why are they better off as a new studio, like because Bungie aren't totally owned by Sony. They've still got this weird bit of independence that presumably, I think the expectation is that Sony will fully acquire them, or they'll independence will go.
And in order for them to do that, are we looking at a bit of a chess game here where they're trying to lower the actual outlay required to fully acquire them and then turn them into a bit of a, as Xbox did with Rare in the initial with the Kinect stuff? Is Bungie going to end up being a support studio to Firewalk for Concord, say, or to Naughty Dog's next title? Are they going to become a sort of co-developer?
They did talk about with the games as a service stuff. They did. I know they talked about Bungie's expertise in that area.
And apparently, if reports are to be believed, that they were initially one of the catalysts for The Last of Us Factions 2 being eventually binned off because they gave it apparently a really poor assessment and said that it had a lot missing in terms of its mechanics, but also its sort of longevity as a live service title. So apparently they were leveraged for that as well. So it's I think they are being sort of slightly repackaged either to create this, like you said, this offshoot studio that will take on this new IP, but maybe the original, what was Bungie, ends up becoming more of a support studio. Running Destiny 2. I don't know if there's a Destiny 3 on the cards, but running Destiny 2 and then becoming this more of a sort of a second tier studio, maybe.
Yeah, it feels like a
shame.
good opportunity for Microsoft to poach some of the developers. Just, you know, there's a lot of people there that are probably quite anxious now about their jobs, and I know Microsoft have had to make cutbacks, but 343 we've talked about in the past, like don't fill us with confidence in terms of producing Bungie quality Halo games.
Acquire a
I'm
couple of
not
Bungie
saying you'd want
developers,
to,
you know.
well, I'm not saying you'd want to put them in 343, but just, you know, there's talent out there that they're probably quite dissatisfied with how things are going, other than the fact that Destiny 2 has been a great success.
Yeah, and maybe actually you look at it, if they were going to take that approach, and Microsoft did sort of try to pinch a few of their team, take it from the management, take it from the people that have been overseeing what has been Destiny 2, you know, been consistently successful throughout its run.
Yeah.
It's been very well run from a project development standpoint, and its roadmap seems to have been well managed. So I'd argue that's the gap that 343 needs to fill. It's not the artists, it's not the developers themselves, it's the people that are in those shot calling positions that need to be perhaps a bit of a shuffle to make that next Halo game not have the same litany of flaws that that Infinite had. Sticking with our current PlayStation theme, I played the first round of the Concord beta, put up our hands-on impressions on our channel on YouTube at Burly Media. I think now I've had some time to sit on it. I haven't ultimately changed my take. I think it is mechanically sound. It plays very smoothly, but I think it's wholly sort of unoriginal. And not that every game that's a new IP needs to be some incredible reinvention. Sometimes there is value in doing something familiar that just plays well. The problem is it just has so many sort of little quality of life things that I go into more detail in my preview that I think were enough to make me, in a very crowded space, as a full, well, budget price but not free to play game. I think those quality of life things, like, you know, the way matchmaking's handled, the way the start of rounds are handled, all of those things. I just don't think you can make those kind of mistakes in a very crowded space. So I'm pretty tepid on it. I think it could very easily in 2025 be a PlayStation Plus giveaway, and it will then have a second wind. But right now, the stuff that they've announced since the beta finished, the stuff where they've said they're not going to do a battle pass or of any kind and all updates will be free, I think is really smart when you're a full price, budget price, game. And it's nice that they have a sort of roadmap of support. A game like that will need it to stay in the news cycle. It's just they are wading into a very crowded space without too much differentiation, really. And I think that's where it's going to struggle, potentially.
Yeah, the thing for me is that obviously it's kind of derivative of other games, but it's derivative of games that are free to play and do have battle passes. So you wonder if, as nice as, definitely it's a nice gesture, and it's refreshing to not have a battle pass and to have, you know, you just make the initial outlay and you don't have to worry about it. But is there an element of the reason those games work is because they're free to play and because they have battle passes to kind of keep things fresh and give you something to kind of motivate you to play and hit targets and things, whereas without that kind of gamification of a game, maybe it will just struggle. I think you'll get people that come in at launch, like you say, you'll get people that come in when it goes to Plus, but it's whether it can kind of keep them engaged. Helldivers seems to have done a pretty good job of that, certainly on PC. So hopefully they'll take a leaf out of their book in terms of keeping it fresh, because I think that'll be the important
That's
thing.
the challenge, isn't it? With any of these games now that have a sort of ongoing multiplayer component, I think is keeping people playing, giving them reasons to go back and invest their time. That's the real, whether you're live service or not, whether you're sort of a premium release like this is going to be, or whether you're free to play, it's give people reasons to want to continue checking your game out. The Finals does it really well. And I think that's where I've definitely stayed connected to that. I suppose, if nothing else, at least they've been very transparent with their vision for what they think this game can be. That I do appreciate. even if I don't fully connect with everything they've done so far in terms of the character design or the actual gameplay itself. You know, it's very Overwatch, and that's fine. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong necessarily with doing something that is very similar or evokes a similar experience. But like you say, when Overwatch is free to play and very established and doing it very well, with a lot of those quality of life things already addressed, you're then asking £35 from people for something that's a bit derivative and perhaps not as mechanically sound. That can be a tough sell. So there's some work to be done there, but an experiment that perhaps will be interesting to check in on 6 months later, because there is so much demand.
I hope that if it doesn't do well, I hope the studio get a second chance to make something a bit more original, because they've obviously got talent. Because, like you say, it's like mechanically sound and everything else. But you wonder whether they've been forced into making an Overwatch clone. Maybe they pitched an Overwatch clone. It seems a bit unlikely that you would go in and pitch something like that, but obviously we don't know. But just, yeah, it's a talented team. It's a shame to similar to Redfall to see maybe they've been slightly pushed into doing some stuff which they didn't want to do. And yeah, I think teams need at least 2 chances before you start talking about doing anything,
reassigning them or shutting them down. Yeah, absolutely. Some positive news though out of Sony was the recent price cut to PSVR2, which has had a very soft response.
Positive for us.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Not for Sony, probably.
No, not for their margins, but it had a very sort of soft launch in terms of its initial sales. It hasn't had any sort of connection with the sort of wider PlayStation fan base that the original PSVR did. But apparently sales are like exploding since this price drop, which is very encouraging. I always sort of, having had PSVR 1 and was very frustrated by the cabling, I really struggled with the PSVR 2 also being wired when every single other PC headset, this is obviously still massively cheaper than those, but they're all wireless and they've all kind of moved on. It just didn't have the software to support it, but now it's at a much more attractive price point. People are responding to it. Which is really, really encouraging for that. And, you know, Sony do have a bit of a history. Vita is the one that springs to mind, where there's sort of great support initially, and then it very quickly dries up. They sort of don't give it the sort of the legs that it needs to really run and really grow. So maybe doing a sort of meaningful price cut like this will help it break through. I'd like to see some big hitters. You know, I know they've very smartly now enabled it for Steam as well, so you can use it on PC now, which is really good. I think that's a very smart play, because it could then become the sort of entry-level headset for a lot of people. And having PS5 and PC support in there now as well is just makes a lot of sense. I think they're ticking some smart boxes there, so that was definitely a smart play for us, you know, as consumers.
I think if the sales have exploded and continue to do well, then you might see them do one more push on some software for it to see if that has the impact. But yeah, it remains to be seen. Would you consider picking it up, or is the cabling still too much of an issue for you?
Cabling was a faff for me. I struggled with that. I know that they've massively simplified it. It's just one cable now that runs to the console, where it was several for the previous. It's also very well integrated with their existing Pulse headset, so they've got the wireless headphones now, which work with it, which is great, because the previous one again was really fussy for that. I'm personally not a fan of VR now. I know I've decided where I settle with that, because I have tried the non-first-person titles, like where it's you're like in a cockpit or you're driving or something like that. Really enjoyed those experiences. They were great. But anything that sort of resembled a more traditional first-person experience, as someone who traditionally has an iron stomach, I just couldn't handle the motion sickness. And it's just very... I think just as a personal preference, wearing it just was very uncomfortable. It's very elaborate to set up, and I don't feel like I can wear it to relax. I don't think I'm also the target market either. My stepdaughter is obsessed with her Oculus Rift that she has, that she absolutely loves. But then they've grown up with it. They've grown up with it being a well-iterated piece of technology. It just wasn't for me. So I think I'm gonna... I have more interest in the AR stuff, like the glasses that
totally.
that are a little bit more sort of... I think some of the applications we've seen from Google, those smart glasses that we've seen, are really, really interesting. And that, I think, I could see becoming very popular and very very mainstream. Not that wacky Apple VR headset that I saw, that AR headset that looks like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek, and it just I can't get on board with that. But if it's a pair of glasses that look like sunglasses, I'm down.
Microsoft killed HoloLens, and that seemed like the smart play. Like everyone going for VR, they were going for AR, and like HoloLens, you could see the applications. It seemed like it had been implemented well, and then they kill it.
And they just binned it off. And they did that awful Conker. You remember that awful Conker demo? That character that was meant to be like, to look like Conker, but it was like sort of Conker but drawn in Microsoft Paint. And I've again such a clear vision of what that looked like. I was in. I thought HoloLens was really interesting. But I'd like to see that technology move the AR route and be supplementary, not the primary form of gaming. For me, the idea of putting a VR headset on to simulate sitting in a cinema and then watching a film because of the 3D perspective, I can't really get on board with that. I perhaps just slightly traditionalist. I just like it being on a flat screen, and I have my surroundings. I think the AR glasses are the way forward with stuff like this. So as a gaming application, it's not really gonna be something I pick up on going forward, but I do think that was a very, very smart play by Sony, and they are thankfully reaping the benefits of that choice.
I don't personally think wearing a helmet will ever go mainstream because, like you say, you're losing the ability to relax while you're playing something, and B, like the communal. If you like watch it, I would never sit in the living room while my wife was in there with a VR helmet on because she likes to watch what I'm doing on the. Of course, and I know you can do that to an extent, but you're sealed off from the other person. So yeah, I agree with you on the AR. I think is the way to go, or some novel new
version
way
of
kind of immersing you into the game without you having to wear something really.
Yeah, you just take one step towards the Star Trek holodeck. That's the dream for me. Make it so, number one. Well, listen, ladies and gents, we're going to take a brief intermission. Mike and I are going to be switching over and playing some Valorant to wrap out our stream this evening. So stand by. We'll be back shortly, and we'll see you there. Thanks again, Mike. It's great to have you back, by the way, as well.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll see you very shortly.
Sorry, I'm having my headset doesn't seem to be connecting
Oh no, I can hear you now though.
so I can't hear you since I unplugged the monitor, which is a bit weird.
I can see it wibbling, so you can't hear me at all. You can't hear me.
Let's try again.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes, I can. I hear you right now. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And we're back playing some Valorant. A little bit of a competition going on between Mike and I right now about, you know, who's going to be the leader. Oh, I don't think I've switched out live. What's happening? I'm chatting away. Have I done it? I can't tell whether I'm actually live or not.
Yeah, it's on. I can see it. Yeah.
Oh, what was I talking about then? It's me panicking. But no, it looks like we're all good. So yeah, what the hell's going on? Oh, it was my tablet hadn't refreshed properly. There you go.
Stand in my way.
Locking in. So who are you going as? Because you said you had a different character.
Raze, who's like an explosive, just quite traditional grenade-y
Okay.
sort of OP. I'm not really using the abilities much, to be honest. I'm using them like because I feel obligated to use them rather than because they're useful.
Interesting. Okay.
So I don't know.
Stand with me, agents of Valorant.
Interesting to mess around with it though. I
Push
think
back these invaders. Let's save our home.
we're both quite explosive. Mine tends to be sort of, I've got this like shotgun blast thing that goes through a wall like in a tight area.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. In fact, all of my stuff is all through walls, like the flashbangs, the like shudder, like an earthquake shudder thing. I'm gonna go up here.
Big man.
This normally gets a bit frisky on this corner. Ah, the graphs are so good.
Get him.
Oh, what the hell's that little wiggler?
My little wiggler.
Oh, I like the little wiggler. Oh, there's one down here.
Flash out.
Oh, he's better than me, but he's very low health. I think I ran the corner the other way. I think they've gone that way.
Oh,
Yeah, I think they've gone there. Yeah, trail of corpses.
Oh fuck.
Ah, man.
Wasn't very good, was it?
We just get a view of the spike as well, just to rub it in.
Vibe check, we feeling good? Hope so, hope so.
Let's try that again, shall we?
Let's please.
With my faithful guardian. Didn't buy any shields though. That could be my undoing. Number
Runs it.
one. I love that I can see your equipment at this stage as well.
Yeah.
And that goes away when we start, you know, we're in game.
Yeah.
There's some here.
Blinding.
Nice, good
Spike
finish.
down, B.
Got on a gut.
Not
Another one down here. I think they're in the center. Where we went the first round.
Spike spotted B.
Yeah, on me. Oh, two up there on the balcony. Yeah, there's two up there. Oh, it looks like you took one out.
Last player standing.
Just as you turned as well. 2 on 1. Our guy's got low health though. Oh, in the bottom. That's the kind of high quality shoutcasting you can expect from me.
Even with
In the
numbers,
bottom.
anything can still happen. Remember that.
Need to get old Murray Dog in here.
Absolutely.
That, please know that that's cooking. That is coming.
As it should be.
They seem to like this side, don't they, at the moment? I want to try and...
Well, people go on vendettas as well, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they're obscuring here.
Right there.
Okay.
Flash out. Concussing.
On the corner. Got him.
Nice.
Oh, 2 out here. 2 out here.
One down.
Nice.
One on the other corner.
Down B.
Down as well. Oh, behind.
Ah.
That's a fucker, this
One
bit, because of
enemy
the
remaining.
teleport exit. That's what got us.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well done on those two. You absolutely ruined them.
Good job.
It is. Oh! Shot him through the teleport. That was great. Look at that.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Pile of corpses.
Last round in the half.
Reloading.
No point saving. Spend it all.
Gone for a phantom this time.
Oh shit! I bought the wrong gun. Swimming in guns now.
You can you can sell, I think, in this, which is pretty candy. Pretty handy.
Where have you gone? Ah,
Keep up.
We've all gone this way, which is risky business. Two of our guys have gone through.
one mate.
Coming back to you. Nice one, well done.
For you.
Oh, someone's healing me. I did look at one of the healing spots.
Oh,
Nice.
that was so good it made me French.
What's that?
Spike
That is
planted.
a ultimate orb that added 1 point to my ultimate.
Oh.
We're back around to their spawn now. Spikes planted. Recommend we maximum risk through here.
Right there.
Okay.
Spikes at B.
Can we walk through this?
Ah! No, I think it injures you. Well, it's only there temporarily.
One enemy.
Nice!
Ow, ow, ow.
Last player standing. Clutch.
Oh. God, that was an
I didn't know
intense
what that was.
round.
Yeah.
Switching sides.
Hey, Underkale, put a shirt on.
Your character seemed angry.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
Let's see how it goes.
Next.
It's getting busy here.
Enemies A.
A spike is down.
Flash
Spike
out.
down A.
Healing you.
Forever.
Pushing through. It's busy.
Yeah.
2 on this corner. They should be flashed. Yeah, there you go.
Enough.
Reloading.
They're both dead.
Do you get any points for that?
Oh, my bum!
Last
Mate.
player standing.
Yeah. God, they did well there,
I
didn't
relaxed.
Yeah, I know. 2 people dead, and we thought, wow. Don't worry about it. Ooh. Just took one to the
Match
face.
point.
Oh, man.
Stay safe. We're going back in.
Yeah. All right.
Hold your head.
Let's pop round here. Ah! 1 down, but I'm
Down A.
low.
Yeah. Oh, come on. he must be very low.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Is it worth us grabbing the spike and going through this teleport to the other side?
I don't know.
Oh, he's grabbed it. Fucker.
Right there.
Yeah, on the left corner.
Oh! Got it with my shotgun.
Nice, what was that? Oh,
That was
cool.
that was the thing that does like a close shotgun blast through a wall.
Reloading.
If I can get the angle
Oh,
right.
well done.
Behind! I can hear footsteps. I could be misleading you.
Me.
It was you. Yeah,
Oh no, on me! Ah,
I was right.
Here, amigo.
Well done. I knew I could hear someone.
lucky I trusted your instincts. You didn't.
Yeah.
Every
By the
fight
way,
is a lesson.
instincts that I then decided weren't correct.
Yeah. What gun are you on at the moment?
I went back to the Guardian.
You probably knew this, but if you, while you're in focus mode, if you click the right stick, you go aim down sights.
I did not know that.
Oh, do it.
That's pretty great. You get an extra level of zoom. Did not know that. Game changer. I don't remember that from the tutorial.
I didn't even do the tutorial. I know it.
Oh,
I
big
looked it
man.
up. So I was trying to find out the alternate fire mode. I think that's it.
Yes, that... And it just massively saved my life. I have 2 health, by the way. There's some still here.
Blinding.
Blind.
Did that blind you?
It did. Did indeed.
Oh, I've been blinded. No, I think we've been blinded by enemies. There's someone else in there.
Yeah, on the right corner. Blinded me.
Flash out.
Oh!
Player standing.
Oh, you're 2 health.
Yeah.
Down A.
Good finish.
I have the spike.
You could always do a cheeky, teleport across the map.
Oh, come on. That must have been close.
Defenders win.
What a great round.
Certainly was for me.
Well, let's just hold your horses, friendo. Oh, fucker.
Yeah.
what can I say?
Pretty comprehensive.
No, that was. I know, I can't argue with that.
I don't think I've had an MVP where we won though, which is the yeah.
Should be the thing that stings.
It doesn't really. I feel like it annoys you more than it annoys me.
I just believe in the sanctity of MVP, which is that you're the most valuable
Match
player
found.
on the winning team. That's what I believe.
I know that's what you think.
And I'm right.
Stand in my way. I dare you.
I was on the edge actually of potentially exploring a second character, but
Oh.
after getting that
Not MVP.
quite you. But after that fusion charge through the wall that killed someone. So what it does is you have to aim it at a surface, and then it does like a direct straight line through whatever direction you were looking in. And in that particular attack, it does like a giant circle, quick blast shotgun, and it will kill anything that's on the other
That's
side.
cool.
But it does give them warning, so it takes like, you'll see it appear, it takes a second, and then it will fire. So it is dodgeable for sure, and you have to be really precise with your timing. But I got my first kill with it in that last round, so that's
Yeah, I don't think I've had a kill with an ability yet.
I've definitely had assists from it, so like from flashbangs. Like again, all my stuff goes through walls, so having my flash ability like around a corner. I love this design as well. This bit down here, look, these sort of like it not being at a perfect angle, like this.
Yeah.
Really like that. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh. Bad time for a sneeze, friend.
Blinding. Concussing.
They're right here.
Flash out. Clearing out.
Yeah, saw him.
Whoa. Oh, they did me. There's 2 of them. I should have pushed with you. Yeah, the one you killed was
Spike
my...
down A.
Yeah.
Nemesis.
Smart move.
Nemesis. Well, you could argue it's the one that I softened up. But allowing you to get that MVP.
I certainly didn't. I certainly didn't feel like I did enough to kill him. So, thank you.
No, you're welcome. Enjoy your MVP.
Last
Oh,
player
dear.
standing.
Early days.
Yeah, early days. Still time.
Once you get ahead, though,
Oh.
once you know you've got a bit of a cushion, an MVP cushion, you start playing more conservatively. That's
Yeah.
the trouble.
And when you're hankering for an MVP like me, you start playing like a reckless idiot. Just
Oh, exactly. Yeah, got
It's-
to
it's-
make a difference, haven't you?
Yeah, I know.
Good inventories.
Tough time.
Love to pick them apart.
Whereas I can just coast really. 3 MVPs,
Yeah,
10-0.
Yeah.
I can just. I know you got one on the stream, but that doesn't count. does it?
it doesn't count, even though it's there preserved forever. But it's tough. I'm having a tough time because of you.
I feel like you're more aggressive than me, so you tend to be like the point, and then you get killed, and then I just mop up, which is how you normally play with me. So I can just learn from the best.
2 up at the end, but my gun's too close range. Send out your wiggler.
Yeah, he's going.
Oh,
Wiggly. Whereabouts?
same place. They're up on the balcony on the left. They pushed, I think. Yeah, up there. Looks like they're circling around on the left. I can hear them coming through there.
Last player standing.
Oh, 2 of them.
Oh! Well done. Oh! This is what we need.
Oh, there's still some left.
There's 2. No one had done anything in that
Spike
round.
planted.
It's A.
One enemy remaining.
Four.
Oh! Setting you up for clutch of the year there. 4 kills, though. Give that man MVP. My entire MVP argument goes in the bin
Yeah, I can
right
just
now.
sit back now. That's the beauty.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. You were just getting kills left, right, and centre, weren't you? Just all over the shoppy.
I haven't even got game audio because my headset's fucked.
Oh, no. So you did that silently.
Yeah, maybe I should
Jesus.
play silently always. Just heightens my other senses, such as taste.
Such as vision. And vision. I need to go over with a Mongoose General.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah, you're the MVP.
Go get him.
He's sending out a piddler.
Yeah, he loves it.
Reloading.
There's some down the end.
On the lower floor, yeah.
Oh, it's risky. Oh, I just killed myself.
Oh, fuck. That's not how you get MVP.
Monster on the loose.
So I didn't realise you had to press X to attach onto that zip line. I thought you could just grab it.
Oh shit! I didn't even know there was it plans.
That. Oh, that's getting an MVP.
Here comes the party. Grenade.
Oh, your weapons look so cool as well. I do love the
Spike
character
planted.
designs in this. They're so
Where do we think
distinct.
Spike is it A?
A, yeah. Going around the back
Rush
actually is
isn't
not a
done
bad
with you.
shout.
Why are they following me? They're thinking, oh, this guy's MVP. He knows where he's going.
Yeah, he's the bit leader, leading in bits. What does that mean?
My ult's not ready.
Oh, fuck! I should have got him. Poor.
Good finish.
Oh, help me! Oh shit! You're dead. The button was not here.
I can help you morally. Well done.
I didn't mean you. I meant the teammate. Oh, you don't fucking
Nice.
send a piddler at me.
Good flinch though. Ah.
Oh, I don't know what that thing is.
Well, that thing.
Oh, that was the spike.
That's
Sorry,
the
I
spike.
thought it was an ability.
Last
Yeah, yeah.
round before the switch.
I couldn't hear how quickly the spike was going. So,
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you've got no indication of you. The only thing I suppose you'd be able to check visually is it flashing really fast.
yeah,
but
I just
you got to
couldn't tell.
concentrate. You're concentrating on the kills on MVPing. So
I didn't want to look up there really.
crazy that you're playing this without audio right now.
Decoy.
Decoy.
I thought it was my controller. I thought it was the headphone jack on the controller, but I think it's the
Right.
headset. Because before we started playing, it was just like cutting out. And then literally as soon as we started, it just died completely. So everyone's coming this way. They're following the bit leader, and just.
I get it. Who's that?
Me.
One back at the spawn.
Blinding.
Oh, they've dashed across
Right
here.
there.
I've backed off. I'm going to circle right down to you.
Planted.
One of our guys just died at A. Oh, didn't realize they were going to push me so quick. I was rushing a bit there. Yeah, there's 2 on the right there. Nice.
Last player standing.
Ah!
You got spaffed on.
Can't kill everyone, can I? I guess there's a limit.
Switching sides.
How long have you had
Match
that
point.
cooking?
Fabric here.
Harold's been cooking for a minute.
Through.
You've been getting ready. Well, if I get at least 1 kill, I'll be able to justify saying this in the next round. God, yeah, you're
last man standing every time, aren't I?
You're
What am I supposed
destroying
to
it.
do?
I haven't got a single kill. You've got 9.
Lost count.
No, I've told you how many you've got.
I appreciate it, but
I know you've lost count personally, but I have just told you. Oh, don't want to use that yet.
I don't even know what my signature is. Some sort of thing. Oh, it's a grenade.
Yes, I haven't done anything useful enough to warrant unlocking my ultimate yet. Guys here.
Oh, fuck.
Some acidic goop. He hopefully should be blinded. So I'm pushing up.
One on your left corner. Ah, they shot me.
Oh, there's one behind me! Ah,
Nothing.
damn it. Got all 3 of them actually came up behind you, so that's a tough time. Oh! Oh! How did he get that kill? I was following
that's bad, isn't it?
I was following Ecol. That's insane.
Yeah, same. No mongoose drone, is it?
That's correct. Well, no, he isn't. We can say that. I can support you in that bit. Because, my goodness.
Time to jump. My potter broke. I'll return.
Look at your ping, though.
Is it disgraceful? Oh, no, it's
nearly into
incredible.
single-digit ping.
I am a single. I'm 6. I got 6 on there.
Oh, maybe on yours. That's you got a host.
I can't believe the guy.
See? You're
He let them do
stubborn.
that. I can't believe he got away with it.
That was poor round for me last time. So
Well, I've gotten all of my kills so far, which is 2, in that last round, which is does not feel good.
all right.
All right.
On a streak, though, aren't you?
I died. That streak has been broken. Jesus Christ. Okay, so they're all there then. Up at the end.
Ah, fuck. Yeah.
1 down. 2 pushing
On me,
in.
on the
Close. Oh, they caught. I didn't think they pushed up that quick.
No,
I'd backed off to reload after I killed the first guy. Oh, they all. Oh, Jesus. All 4 of them were traveling together then, giving us a chance to plant the spike on the opposite side, though.
Yeah.
So 3v2. He's literally to the right.
Cutting their vision.
He's on your right.
Anyone
He's on
else?
his left.
Last player standing. 1 enemy remaining.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Defenders win.
Good thing about losing there is it preserves my MVP.
It does. It does. And you will...
Because I had a hot streak at the start and it was gone right in the shitter, so...
There it is. My goodness. Just racking them up. 362. It's not good. No assist, though, from Mongoose. So really, are you most valuable? So...
I'll give it a game.
I Can and I will. Well, that will wrap it up for us on System Link this evening. Thank you, everyone, for checking out our latest podcast. We'll be back on Monday with another Burly Bird Live. And thank you again, Mike, for jumping on tonight. Always appreciate it. It's great to spend another eve podcasting and gaming with you. And everyone, we will see you next time.
See ya.